everyone. Welcome. We're so excited that everyone is here to talk with us about world Englishes, diversity, context, and cultures. This is a dear talk. Hello, Monica from Argentina. Yay. I'm your neighbor. I'm not in Brazil right now, but I am from there. So Argentina is in my heart, my neighbor. Um, Florida, wow, amazing. Yes, oh, I love it. So, um, I want to thank everyone for coming, and please keep them coming in the chat because that's what we are celebrating today. Ghana, hi David. So we are celebrating the many wonderful ways we sound with Dr. Kirti Kapoor, and really validating our Englishes. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Kapoor, and so that she can get started from Poland. Ula, welcome, Ula. I just wanted to say a little bit more also about our SIG. So we are a special Hi Mawa from Senegal.
Hello.
Hello. Uh,
Hello.
hello, welcome. I
Thank
wanted
you
to
so much.
thank you for coming. Merci. So we are the special interest section of the TESOL International Association, called Bilingual Multicultural. It's B-MEIS, our acronym. So please join us if you haven't. Follow us on Twitter. I'm going to put the information at the end. And on Facebook so that we can continue these conversations. Tomorrow, we are going to host an all-day Twitter chat about the questions and interesting topics for discussion that we see coming today. So if you are familiar with Twitter, it's very nice because you don't need to join anything. You just need to write something on your phone. Okay, so I'm going to introduce Dr. Kirti Kapoor. We're so honored to have her, and she is one of the members of our SIG. And I'm Clara Bowler, everyone. I am the chair of the SIG this year. So Kirti Kapoor is an LT expert and teacher trainer who also holds certifications in critical thinking, assessment, and special education needs from the University of Maryland and the University of Oregon, USA. Curriculum design, materials development, pedagogy, assessment, and comparative research are her core areas of expertise. With 33 years of expertise in English language teaching, Dr. Kapoor has contributed to national and international studies on cultural context and language learning. With over 90 papers presented and published to her credit, she has also trained teachers from Afghanistan, Tibet, on making ELT effective and learner-centric. She is a recipient of the Rayton Scholarship awarded by YATEFL UK and the International TESOL USA. Award for Professional Development. In her capacity as Professor of English at NSERT, she has been involved in the development of textual materials and conducts workshops across all stages of education. So you can see we're very honored and privileged to have Dr. Kapoor on our team, and I am going to pass the torch to her. And hello, Maha from Tunisia. So keep them coming. I'll be present in the chat talking with you.
Thank you, Clara, for such a generous introduction. Aloha to all the participants. As you all know that these days I am in Hawaii. I have come here as a Fulbright Fellow to do research in multiculturalism. So once again, aloha, and I begin with my topic, World Englishes, Diversity, Context and Cultures. So to begin with, I want to show you this slide. USA and India, how we have different names for the same thing. Like this is how a new English emerges, because we are used to this new vocabulary, and here there is a new vocabulary, a different vocabulary. And this is the beginning of a new English. I hope now, if you are from different countries, you can add another slide over here and you can write down the names, what you call them in your country. And that is how we will develop, or we can see that different Englishes are emerging. Because even if we are speaking in English, we are using the local name. That means we are establishing a new kind of speaking, a new way of expressing ourselves, meaning making. Now, multicultural realities. As we all know that World Englishes recognizes and gives due space to the socio-cultural and linguistic diversity globally. We are working in a multilingual education. We are talking about translanguaging. So this is another reality that we have in front of us. Linguists agree that the framework of World Englishes aims at social equity and inclusion. You see, language is now no longer forced down upon anybody. They learn the language in their context. They bring in their experiences and their context into the learning domains. Therefore, we are creating space for equity as well as we are trying to include everybody's expression. Kubota in 2001 said that what is more noticeable is that when we interact with people from different countries, we hear English with a range of fluency, which often differs from the so called standard English in terms of pronunciation, lexis, expression, and grammar. How true it is. My pronunciation is entirely different, isn't it? From the pronunciation of the people here in the US. But it is intelligible. You can understand me. And I have given you the example of vocabulary, that how words do vary. Different names are there for different things, and you will find them in different dictionaries. Expressions are different, and sometimes even the way of saying, that is grammar, is also different. So we need to recognize that, because the focus is now on meaning. The result of spread is that formally and functionally, English now has multicultural identities. The term English does not capture the socio-linguistic reality. The term Englishes does. That is what Kachru said. And we are all familiar with Kachru's circles. I will talk about it in my slides. So he says that when we are capturing different types of pronunciations, different expressions, uh, then we cannot say this is English. The term Englishes does. The term World Englishes is now used to describe the nativized and distinct varieties of English, especially in non native countries. So, this is more applicable to non native speakers of English. India is one of them. David Crystal, according to Crystal, when a country becomes independent, there is a natural reaction to refrain from using the linguistic character imposed by its colonial past and to look for native language to provide a symbol for nationhood. As a result, new ways of talking and writing develop, and indigenous words become privileged. How beautifully articulated. David Crystal has beautifully summed up the emergence of different Englishes in the countries where English is not the native language. And we add our own expressions, we add our own vocabularies. Of course, our pronunciation is marked by our mother tongue influence, and the whole thing gets accepted within that country. So that gives rise to a new kind of English. That is, in India we call it Indian English. Maybe in different countries it will be, named after that country, like Korean English, Chinese English, like that. Now, Crystal further said, speakers can identify each other by their accent very well. Within India also, our accent varies from north to south, from west to east, because we are influenced by our mother tongue, the way we lay stress on the language, the way we pronounce a particular word. So that tells us that we belong to this part, this region. So speakers can identify each other by their accent, choice of vocabulary, and way of speaking. And the adapted English reflects their personal and respective cultural settings. And that is how, the word world English has been coined or is being recognized, because it is creating space for all kinds of pronunciations, cultural settings, and expressions, and of course, little bit of grammar. Largely, when it comes to grammar, our grammar should be standard grammar. But in the course of learning, there may be variations. But with practice, we reach the grammar which is accepted. So, translanguaging. So, here, multilingualism, translanguaging, everything becomes part of the learning experience. Now, let us look at Kachru's concentric cues. Of course, you all must be knowing about it, but it is very much related to the talk that I am sharing with you. The inner circle, where English is the native language. They have their native accent. It comes for free. That means it's natural because it's there in the environment of the child, and the child automatically picks up that language. And little enthusiasm to learn other languages, because language and power, that's the language of power. So it's a functional language, I would call it. So here you have USA, UK, Australia, uh, all these countries are there, and there are about 100 320 to 380 million people who speak this language. Then we come to the outer circle. This outer circle is the are the countries where English is taught as second language, or is the second language, ESL, right? So colonial legacy. Britishers were there. That was the language of communication. People tried to learn that language. Now that they are not there, but language is still there, because uh, education is happening in this language. Of course, people are trying to bring in the multilingual realities also into the sphere of education, but English is very much there. Sometimes it becomes the official language, like in India. It is our associate official language. Then it is, the language of media, administration, legislation, and also education, especially at the higher level. Then we come to the outer circle, an outer circle that this circle is expanding, because now English is the global language. It's easier to interact in that language, for business purposes, for effective communication. So people from countries like China, Russia, etc. are also learning. And in the second circle, that outer circle, the number of people estimated who speak this language are 300 to 500 million, which is more than the native speakers. And of course, with the expanding outer circle, the number of speakers of English language is expanding. So, therefore, we can say that English is really a global language. And so far as TESOL is concerned, like we teach English, we focuses on effective communication. Therefore, spaces or examples like from tourism, from health sector, from other spheres become part of our learning platforms. So that is one thing. So therefore, we are expanding our learning sphere as well. And when you bring in other languages, other expressions, vocabularies, we are expanding that learning sphere even further. So therefore, it's a good thing to recognize world Englishes. Now I come to the second part of my talk. I'll focus here on Indian English, and as participants, you can really take examples and find examples from your context to make it an enriching experience. I would not know examples from your context because I haven't been there. So I'm giving you examples from the Indian context. And within India also, we have Indian Englishes. because accents, pronunciations vary from region to region, right? A large number of Indian words from different regional languages or Hindi are now part of the Indian variety of English register. I will share those examples with you. For example, words such as sahib, lati, samosa, chutney. I think chutney all of you understand because yesterday when I was viewing one show, it was uh, a show on chefs. So they were referring to chutney, like any sauce which they were making, they were referring it to as chutney. So therefore, chutney word is being recognized. Then dhoti, chapatis, hakim, basti, pehlwan, angrezi sarkar, namaskar, etc. have found a place in the Indian variety of English. And some of these words are there in Oxford Dictionary. So that means they have been recognized as a way of expression. So they are getting recognition in print media as well. Now let us look at the uh, translations. Sahib is sar, lati, stick, samosa, potato pastry snack, dhoti is loincloth, dress, chutney, dip for spices, Hakim, medicine man, Basti is a slum, Angrezi is English. And you can add to the list from your own context, your own experience. And then you will have a broader list in front of you that how different Englishes are emerging in different contexts. But these words, namaste, sahib, etc., they are part of our repertoire. Even when we are speaking in English, it is accepted if I begin to greet that person with namaste and then start speaking in English. So it is part of the discourse. Now, a few more examples. There are typical Indian affixes such as G, Wala. Now, Sir Ji Riksha Wala. So, Sir, you understand, is a marker of respect. And in Indian language, G is also a marker of respect. So there is no need to use these two together, but that has become an expression which is widely accepted. So therefore, this kind of expression is accepted, and even if we write like this, no one objects to it. And rickshaw wala, uh, rickshaw puller, we can say, the person who owns the rickshaw. So therefore, even this word is very much there when we are writing in English. And children, when they are learning English and they bring in such expressions, they are not penalized. They are told the English versions, but gradually they move from this expression to the expression that is accepted, that is desired. Even this expression is accepted. Now, the pragmatic and functional use is clearly seen with these examples. Uh, Rather than focusing on the fact of language use, sociolinguistic approach studies the act of language use and how a language is kept alive in which spheres of society in which forms. And this is the larger question we need to address, how we are trying to keep it alive, functional, and it should not uh, destroy other languages, right? Which was the scene when you can say some 100 years back, in when India was a colonial country. So other languages were not given any importance. They were not part of the education. But now it is, the other languages are also becoming part of our education system. Now let us look at a few examples. I have brought a few examples for you. How new registers are being created. Now this particular poster was in Hindi. I have translated it for you in English. So it says, Dekh Bahan is look, sister. You can only impress me if you tell me what golgappe are known as in English. Now, golgappe is a snack, is a street food popular all over India. And there cannot be any other expression for Golgappa. If we try to translate it, we will end up losing its real nuance. And last year, when I was watching MasterChef Australia 2020, uh, there was one round for street food round, and two contestants, they had Golgappa as their street food. They had visited Mumbai a few months back, or a couple of years back, and they wanted to replicate that. So, and on their stall, they had written Golgappa. So in Australia, this snack was being written as Golgappa. So this is going to remain as Golgappe only. So that is how it is being accepted. Let's look at other examples. Now, it says if you need living nanny or non living nanny, there are some phone numbers given. So the expression is not correct. We all understand it. But this shows that people who have not yet mastered the language and want to connect with larger community, they are trying to express themselves. But people in India have understood. Living nanny means the person who is going to stay with you, and non-living nanny means who will come and go. People have understood the meaning, but it is not correct English, but it is conveying some message. Let's look at some other examples. Now it says, this example says beach balls. Now the word beach, other people will not understand because it is an Indian word for seat. The rest of the explanation about these beach balls is in English. When people start reading it, they will understand it very well. But to attract the attention of the people, they have written beach balls because they are trying to tell that don't, throw seeds just like that because birds will eat it and will not have trees. They are saying that you must mix these seeds with clay, compost, and then when they start sprouting, leave it on the roadside so that they, sprout and they grow as trees. And there are many words in this particular advertisement for trees. They are in Hindi. So therefore, it will attract the attention of Indians, but a person who is a non-native from India will have to read the entire advertisement to understand it. So this shows that how Indian English is establishing itself to communicate with the people so that things happen. Let's look at this example now. Santosh Taylor, specialist in alteration of ladies to gents. Now this particular tailor has not mastered the language once again. So he thinks that he is a tailor, so people will understand. Alteration of clothes, he has forgotten to mention that. But he thinks this is conveying his meaning. Now, there is another poster, Senge Hotel, fooding and lodging, Rumtek. So, Rumtek is somewhere towards Ladakh, Leh Ladakh region of our country. Now, fooding and lodging, it should be, the expression is boarding and lodging. But they did not understand boarding, so they thought, what is this? So, fooding, we are giving you food. And this expression is very commonly used in many places all over the country. Now, there is another example, Happy Dashera. On this auspicious occasion of Durga Puja, may Goddess Durga take away all your worries and bless you with health, wealth, and prosperity. This is the message which is being shared by people who are on WhatsApp. People are educated, but nobody minds that there is a grammatical error over here. It should be takes away all your worries. But people are understanding the meaning. Now, these are some of the examples on the lighter note. But now I am going to give you examples which deal with education, and I'll share how Indian English is establishing itself with curriculum designers, policymakers, as well as textbook writers. Colonization by the British and subsequent use of English language by locals as well as diaspora lead to the rise of an Indian register of English. Many writers, even before independence, Indian writers, they had started writing in English and their works were published and highly appreciated because through their works they were able to bring about the ethos, the nuances of Indian culture. So, therefore, from there, we can see the rise of Indian register of English. They never tried to express the Indian expressions or nuances by translating them to make it look artificial, but they tried to give the same expression which is used in India. Now, from being the language of the colonial masters and Macaulay's instrument of hegemonic control, the field of education, it is now increasingly referred to as one of many Indian languages. And that is the success we have got. Now, in 2005, Macaulay's Minute came in 1800 and something, and where, English was the language of higher education, and other languages were largely ignored. But when India became independent, we started talking about multilinguality. We started talking about three language formula, that every child has to learn at least three languages. If one is English, if one is the mother tongue, another one can be the language of our country. India is a big country, and there are many states, and each state has its own language. And I am from North India. I do not understand any South Indian language. English is the link language. And I also do not understand any language from the northeastern region of our country. So there the most of the languages are the tribal languages. So we don't understand those languages. There also the link is English. And now, education is uh, spreading, higher education is there. So these tribal states are using their language and using the Roman script. They have not designed their own script, they are using the Roman script to document their language. And the medium of instruction in these states is English. So, therefore, after 2005, when our new curriculum came, so we have been saying that English needs to find a place among other Indian languages. It's one of the many Indian languages because it's emerging and it is using the expressions from all the regions. Today, it is taught as a second language in India and is the associate official language. And it's a link language. You see, wherever we don't understand the language of the other regions, it's through English we communicate. So, English language is firmly part of the cultural imagery of our country. And I think, so far as the countries in the second circle are there, they are also using English language quite often. Now, the emergence of various Englishes has also implications at the school level, or I should say, for education, in terms of curriculum design, materials development, and pedagogical decision. Since I work in the area of developing curriculum and writing textbooks for school education, so I have referred to school education, and I'll be showing the analysis of our work, that how Indian writing has become part of the English courses in our textbooks. Indian English is abundantly used by students of English language to express, write, and inform themselves about various subjects. Most notable is the departure from canonical texts to adoption of translated texts, indigenous examples, as well as writing by Indian diaspora. So this has also become part of our textual material. There is a clear-cut departure from the canon. We are bringing in the texts which are translated, written in different languages. Hindi, Tamil, Urdu, Punjabi, those texts are being translated into English and they have become part of the English language courses. And then the expressions which are used in these original texts remain as it is so that children can connect because they are going to use English in their context and these expressions are part of their context. So they will be able to connect with it and be able to communicate in this language. Then this is the analysis that I have done. Uh, this at the senior secondary stage core course in English. I have not analyzed the elective course, which is literature based course, and there also we have generously used writings of the Indian authors. I'm not saying writing of the Indian authors writing in Hindi across India. So these are some of the representations of the writers in our core courses. Well, if you want to read any of these stories and want to enjoy it, they are not very long stories, 6 to 10 page stories, then you can go to www.ncert.nic.in and then you write textbooks. So there you can find these texts if you are interested in reading. Then next is secondary stage. Again, we have a lot of texts written by Indian authors or translated. Like Ruskin Bott directly writes in English, Vikram Seth directly writes in English, and some of the texts are translated. Then at the upper primary stage, now you can appreciate that the representation of the texts written by the Indian authors is increasing because young learners yet do not have exposure to the wider world. They are still learning to read the language and connect it to their world. So, therefore, here you find that at the upper primary stage, there is there is more representation of Indian writing as compared to the senior level. As they go to the senior level, then texts start coming from uh, different parts of the world as well. Then at the primary stage, there is more. Girija Rani Asthana, the story was written in Hindi, was translated into English. So therefore, there are many examples of the Indian writing as part of our English course. Now, here I am going to share a poem with you. I hope you will enjoy listening to the poem. I will read it out for you and then I'll explain that how and why was this written and who was the poet. The title of the poem is Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa T.S. Friends, our dear sister is departing for foreign in 2-3 days, and we are meeting today to wish her bon voyage. We are all knowing what sweetness is in Miss Pushpa. I don't mean but eternal sweetness. Miss Pushpa is smiling and smiling, even for no reason, but she's feeling. Miss Pushpa is coming from very high family. Her father was renowned advocate in Balsar or Surat. I am not remembering now which place, Surat. Once only I stayed with the family. My uncle's very old friend and his wife was cooking nice food. That was long time ago. Coming back to Miss Pushpa, she is most popular lady with men and ladies also. Whenever I asked her to do anything, she was saying, "Just now only I will do it." That is showing good spirit. I'm always appreciating the good spirit. Miss Pushpa never says no. I mean, you can read it. Whatever I or anybody is saying, she's always saying, uh, and today she's leaving to improve her prospects. And we are wishing her bon voyage. And now I ask other speakers to speak. Afterwards, Miss Pushpa will do summary. Now, this poem, you find that, some of the sentences are grammatically not correct. This poem is written by Nissim Ezekiel, 1924 to 2004, one of India's foremost Indo-Anglian poets, recipient of the highest honor bestowed on an Indian citizen by the President of India, the Padma Shri Award. It's not that this is his style of writing. This is an example. He was an art critic. He was educated in Mumbai and London, and he was also an art critic. He's written really good work. He was highly appreciated for his work in good English, using the vocabulary that is most appropriate. But through this poem, he's just trying to, gently make fun of those who cannot speak English properly, like, it's printed. So this type of English is also becoming part of our repertoire. That is what I am trying to share with you. So these are common mistakes, because mother tongue, uh, whose mother tongue is not English, they generally make this mistake. And this was the observation by David Crystal also in one of his lectures. He said that, Indians use ing, present continuous tense, a lot. For example, I'm thinking it is going to rain. Here also in this poem, if you go back, you will find there is a lot of use of thinking, ing form, where we should use simple present tense, present continuous tense is being used. So there are grammatical mistakes, strange arrangements of words and phrases and idioms, which are direct translations of expressions from Indian languages. They all sound odd in English, but somehow that's what he's trying to tell, that they have become part of our repertoire. People speak like that. And there is another example uh, from the story The Lost Child by Mulk Raj Anand. He was one of the Indian writers in English, uh, one of the famous writers. A sweetmeat seller hawked gulab jamun, rasgulla, barfi, jalebi. Now, these words are Hindi words. He has not tried to translate them. That is what I'm trying to tell, that even long back, even before independence, when these texts were being written, these writers were not trying to translate the Indian nuance, the Indian expression into odd English. Like a garland of gulmohar, a garland of gulmohar. Gulmohar is the name of a tree. And I find this tree in Hawaii, but I do not know what do they call it. I'm going to ask somebody one day what is the name of this tree. So this is what I am trying to share with you, Indian English and ELT, how they are merging together and giving rise to Indian English. Now it has pedagogical implications. On a very serious note, it has pedagogical implications. With increased focus on meaning over structure, form, various forms of spoken Indian Englishes are flourishing, because these days we focus on meaning rather than on structure. Communicative. It should be, we are focusing on communication. So multilingualism is both a resource and a strategy in a classroom that allows space for various Englishes. And when they are reading texts, good grammar, various expressions, so over a period of time, they learn new structures. The communicative approach to teaching of English looks at non-literary genres also. Use of English therein besides literary canons. Yes, of course, like media, tourism, health sector. They are very much a part of our course, because we focus on communicative approach of teaching of English. So therefore, we are bringing in different contexts into our classrooms and making it really diverse. Uh, different cultures are coming into the classroom, different expressions occur. So we are increasing the range. It accounts for socio-cultural ecologies of learners, and regards multilingual influences on language as sources of authentic input to be used in the classroom. And I hope you all agree with me on that. Authentic input comes into the classroom via the context and experiences of the learners. Now, post-modern view, this almost postmodern approach to ELT accounts for diversity, interconnectedness, or we can say interreferentiality. That's what Gradol said in 2006. And I think we all believe in this. It enables a rethinking of the purpose. We cannot say that this is not right or correct. If it creates meaning, it's communicative, people are bringing in their expressions, they're learning language, I think it serves the purpose, function, methodology of teaching languages should be dynamic, and it should be ever expanding context. We cannot have limited context for our English language teaching classes. Now, impact on learning outcomes. You see, when we take up a course, we have learning outcomes in front of us. So, how does it help us achieve those learning outcomes for learners? Using references for Indian English is in many ways synonymous with the technique of relating how language to the school language, because the learner's linguistic environment may comprise of Indian English or Englishes. So we have to be we have to create space for that. In this manner, there is a movement towards English form norm without intimidating or alienating the Indian English speaker. So there is space for every learner in the class. They can bring in their nuances and learn the language. Now, in summary, I would like to say we must move beyond the prescriptive view of language. Adopting the descriptive approach to language accounts for the ways language varies and how it is used in social and regional contexts. This views lies at the heart of contemporary linguistics, right? So I think we need to accept that, because it brings in diversity, it brings in context, it brings in different experiences, multiculturalism. So in summary, further, I would like to say that now we have transformative classrooms. We are talking about translanguaging. We are talking about multilingualism. So different Englishes create space for that. Educated Englishes. I'm not saying wrong English should come into the classroom. I showed you some examples where the people who have not mastered the language, their knowledge of language, English language is very limited. Even they are making an effort to convey their message through that language. But in the classroom, educated English is print form, which is accepted, intelligibility. Then standard language, written English and printed English, it's being accepted, that Indian nuances, expressions are being accepted, and that holds true for other Englishes as well. Now, this has the potential to change the power dynamics. We all know language and power. So we have to move away from that. We have to create space for all the languages. And with this, I have come to the end of my presentation. Thank you so much for being with me, and your participation is highly appreciated. Thank you.
Dr. Kapoor, this was amazing. And I wanted to extend the conversation to talk a little bit about your final slide, right? So how can we continue that transformation, right? And really take this inclusive view of world languages into our world, right? As English teachers working everywhere. And I know some questions were shared here. So I want to share first Mawa's question. Is your curriculum in India designed following the realities of your local Englishes, or do you use standard English mostly? So I think his question is getting to what you were saying. Is it widespread? Are people really adopting this, or are they mostly focusing on standard English still.
Okay. Shall I? Huh. So, especially at the school level, at the primary and the upper primary level, there is a lot of Indian English which has become part of the classroom repertoire. Children are bringing in their nuances. We are encouraging our teachers, let children speak. And then when you give them the translated version or English version, they will automatically shift from L1 to L2, and by the time they reach secondary, they will be comfortable with both the languages. So that is what is happening right now. And by the time they reach secondary, senior secondary classes and college, I think if they take English as a medium, they are okay with the subject. Yes.
And I wanted to tap into that, Dr. Kapoor, and can you talk a little bit more about your experience as curriculum developer and how you could, because I think we struggle, right, as English teachers to really change.
Yes.
So how could you do it?
Yeah, because in 2005, we came out with a new curriculum. So our curriculum is a national curriculum, which is a kind of a, our in India also, education is on the concurrent list of the center and the state. We at the center brought out this national curriculum 2005, and state have to adopt it or adapt it. They cannot deviate from this. So here it is clearly given, I mean, the mandate that multilingualism has to become part of the English classroom. And English needs to find a place among other Indian languages. So therefore, we were able to, and it was a kind of a unsaid rule for us that you cannot have all the entire textbook using canonical material. We had to use authentic materials. We had to bring in examples from newspapers, from travel, from health, from art. So it was we were told to do it. So it was a kind of a freedom for us to do, and it was highly appreciated. And now also we encourage teachers that you bring examples from these areas, make them communicative, because this is what is the real communication. Sometimes I tell my teachers, ask students to bring examples into the classroom. Even if they bring a small piece of paper, a cutting, I think that becomes part of the classroom discourse. Yes, we are allowed to do it.
That's wonderful. And you made me think also of a project that the children could bring things and we can say, what are their Englishes used for, in what context, right? For what purposes? That could be an amazing project and
Yeah.
show so much diversity, right? We have another question here, Dr. Kapun. I also struggle with the concept of correct and wrong. This is from Ushi, uh, English. Of course, there are examples where it is obvious, but there is also a big gray area.
Yes, I fully agree with Osho. This is the dilemma that our teachers also struggle with. You know, they say that if the child is using absolutely wrong grammar, like I showed in some of the examples, which were posters in local areas, these were not English teachers or these were not students of English, but they are somehow capturing the nuances and putting those posters in English. They're trying to connect with the larger community. So even our teachers ask us the same question, that how do we deal with it? There's a lot of gray area. So we always tell them that you as a teacher, you are speaking correct English, you are using correct grammar, you are presenting them examples which are correct. But now, if they are wrong, this is the process of learning. Sometimes we are also wrong. But when we hear others, when we read something and we pick up the correct version, so we are always correcting ourselves. Even today, it happens with us. So we tell them that it is a process of learning. Allow them to learn. Don't impose learning on them. So it will become correct over a period of time. Like for mother tongue learning also, children like at home, do they speak correct English when they are 1 year or 2 year? They are also speaking broken sentences somewhere. And when they listen to their mother and father speaking the correct sentence, after 2 or 3 times, they speak the correct sentence. So that is the environment we have to create in the classroom, since it is second language for us.
And also we can change, right? I think that you gave an example of something that is part of the Indian variety of English, which is the I am thinking, I'm knowing, right? And
Yes,
that is correct
that
in
is
Indian English, right? I think
correct.
that's so interesting, and it
Yeah.
shows so much, right? We have a few more questions here. David is asking, between Indian English, standard Indian English, and standard British English, which of these is used, taught, and preferred among the different speakers?
Okay. So, see, we follow the British English. That is the norm in front of us, right? As educationists, as students of English language. This is one category of learners as students of English language. That's the norm in front of us. But there are many students who are learning English, who are students of science and social science. See, the, we want them to learn the correct usage, but the process is always there. They bring in their expressions from different social contexts, and that Indian English becomes part of the discourse. It does become part of the discourse at different levels. In arts, in social science, in language arts, it does become. But when we talk about communication, we are able to communicate, and gradually the correct expression is accepted. And as I told you, our authors like Mulk Raj and even authors who are writing now in English, the typical Indian expressions are not being translated. Like gulab jamun, barfi, these are sweetmeats. Like these are our desserts. So English name has not been coined for them. And maybe if they type on internet gulab jamun, you will get the picture of the gulab jamun. Okay, it is a brown color, reddish brown color sweet. So that thing is also there. So it's a mix. And especially when we are communicating outside the classroom, what happens? It's a mix of both, British as well as. But within the classroom, for examination purposes, we help learners to be able to achieve that. But now American English is also coming. You see, through computers, it's all American spellings, American way of pronouncing the words. Children are learning that. Now there is more confusion among teachers whether we should mark that spelling incorrect or correct. So we tell them that is not incorrect. American English is also standard. It is an established form. And through computer, children are being exposed to those spellings more than what you are teaching them. Because everything is these days virtual. So now that is being accepted. American spellings, British spellings, all are correct. And of course, for Indian English, we have not changed the spellings at all. Only expressions are changing. I hope I'm clear.
I love that Ushi and Maha are having a really good conversation here in the chat about first, how do we involve the children in American and UK British cultures in your curriculum? And then Ushi challenged Maha, saying, do you need to learn these cultures if you're not living there, right? And before Dr. Kapoor shares this, I have one thought about this that I want to put to Dr. Kapoor too. I don't think that teaching the US and UK British cultures are really problematic, because these are the ones that we have been teaching all along, right? I see that the other one is more difficult to include. What's your opinion, Dr. Kapoor?
Yes, I really agree with you, because there is a merger of the two. They are not really different, and they are part of our discourse, our curriculum right from the beginning. Including others is a challenge for the teacher because she is not aware of that culture, but learners bring it. And I am here to study that only, and how different cultures become part of the classroom. Because in Hawaii, we have many cultures. Yeah.
Yes, I think you made a really good point about literatures, right? That we include different authors and show how English is so diverse, right, across the world in literature and our everyday uses. So it's so important. I think that our materials are very limited when we only show one type of English, right, or two as the accepted ones. Yeah.
That's right. I fully agree with you. And we cannot be rigid in our teaching process. We should not be. You know, if we become rigid, then we are imposing that learning on the child. It becomes rote learning. They learn that and regurgitate in the exam. We don't want that. We want different expressions to come into the classroom. They're their opinions. So it's
Yes, we're trying to diversify, right? And also seeing themselves in the curriculum too. If you only have one way, you're also not, that way is not your way, right? So I think you're highlighting the importance of bringing the local varieties and how people speak and you communicate and validating that.
yeah. And you know, this very well connects with our translanguaging process also. See, all these are connected, they are not different. You see, diversity, context, cultures, translanguaging, multilingualism. They're talking about the same thing. Therefore, creating space for different expressions, different learners, and also if I am able to bring in my Indian expression into your repertoire, like I tasted gulab jamun, it was sweet, I liked it, so I think you are expanding your vocabulary also. I feel it, because I want to learn the translation of this gulmohar tree. I want to ask somebody what is the name of the tree here, and from then onwards maybe over here I will use that word. So that has expanded my vocabulary also.
Yes, it makes English so much more interesting, right, everyone?
Ah,
So I want to thank Dr. Kapur for today. This was a wonderful, wonderful conversation. We want to extend this conversation tomorrow at an all-day Twitter chat. So I'm going to put the information here again, everyone. And so I'm going to be posting some questions that came up from this wonderful presentation, and you just have to write about it. So follow us. We are at TESOL B Multi is our handle, and please follow us and follow our conversations and the hashtag. And then we will continue this conversation on your own time. You can just do it as you're cooking or as you are working, and we'll keep the conversation going. So thank you so much, Dr. Kapoor. This was really a wonderful and important conversation for all of us.
thank you. Mahalo.
Mahalo.
Thank you. Mahalo is thank you in Hawaiian language.
Thank you, everyone,
Thank you.
for coming and joining us.